So this past weekend, I went to a dueling pianos event, and
Nice.
I had never been to one.
Mhm.
Didn't know what to expect. Have you been to one?
I have two different ones in Georgetown and then in Inner Harbor.
All right, so I'm picturing like Looney Tunes, like Bugs Bunny playing, and then I can't remember who else was in that, but playing and then seeing who can play it better, and then next thing you know, it escalates to like guns coming out of the
Yeah.
piano, whatever. um, that's not what it was. Surprise, surprise.
No, surprisingly, no.
So really, they weren't dueling, so I'm not sure where the term came from, but what it is a very fun and engaging
Oh, yeah.
two different people playing piano
Mhm.
and singing, and they kind of take turns, and you able to request things and kind of give money to get your request chosen. But what they do a great job is just entertaining and talking in between and getting the audience engaged into the songs so to make sure everyone's having fun, and it ends up being a lot of fun, and it was a good time.
Yeah.
But it's not the Looney Tunes, so
No, it's not. It's not, but it would be awesome if there was a dueling piano bar like that.
let us know if you've ever heard of one that's like that.
Yeah.
And not. Hey, welcome back to Screen Time. Accepting death isn't surrender. Flowers are only flowers because they fall.
Yes.
And I have with me my guest, or my host, Jered.
Which comes first, God or your purse strings?
That was my other one I had written down.
And that was my other one.
So we did have the same too. Nice.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about Shogun episode 9. But before we get into that, a little bit of what we've been watching. What have you been watching, Jered?
For all the people that, for all the haters that hate when I have a bunch of shows to talk about, they will be pleased.
We get those emails.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I have one, and that's it. There will be another one next week. I just haven't a new show that I was excited about that I just haven't watched yet. But I want to talk about Fallout because that's what I was excited about. I think I mentioned it last week.
Okay.
And
I also watched this.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least 2 episodes. Right? 2 episodes. Not the whole thing.
That's perfect. That's what I did. 2 episodes. All right, cool. The thing well, actually, we might have talked about this too. I still hate that they put them all. Yeah, we did talk about this last week. I hate that they put them all out at once.
Yeah. Dumb. Dude, drop 2 or 3, not just one to start, to get and have enough to get people's taste buds,
That's
wet.
what they did with The Boys normally and a lot of other like bigger shows that they've done.
And then one week to week after that.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, besides that though, I'm a huge Fallout fan anyway. I played all the games, and it's crazy because I'm always so scared going into video game adaptations because they've just been all over, like really good, really bad, This one, now I had a little more faith because of Jonathan Nolan. We talked about, although not everything he's done has been amazing, but this though, I was and I heard the ending of this season is like amazing, but I already love this show, and I'm so happy with the way they did it. You can tell there's always a big difference when you can tell how much the director, I'm assuming probably the writers too. I don't know how involved Jonathan Nolan was with the writing. I know he directed like the first 3, but you can always tell when that person has a deep love for the actual source material. It's just like Craig Mazin with The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
You could really tell with that, even though that as a game was very much like kind of like a movie anyway.
Right.
So a little bit easier to this is like Fallout. Most of the games are like an open world game, so it's a little bit harder And what I like is Bethesda was heavily involved with the show. Todd Howard, the creator of Fallout, not the creator, I should say, because actually, but everyone knows him as because he did almost all the games. He just didn't do the first two that were
Gotcha.
like old, like I think computer games only, like back in the day.
Okay.
But yeah, so
Which one was the one I played a little bit of?
Oh, that's right. You said you did play
on
one
the
of them.
PS4.
If it was PS4, then it was Fallout 4.
That's what I thought. It was. That was going to be my guess.
Yeah, which is really the last main Fallout game because the only one since then.
Well, and Fallout Shelter game on
You played that?
the iPad or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I did play that some.
That game was sick. I played that a lot.
Is that still around?
Yeah, it's still around. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're doing one like that with another Bethesda game property, but kind of the same style. Probably because that one did so well. But yeah, so what I like about this also is I saw that Todd Howard was talking about how this show is completely canon and actually takes place. He was kind of saying, thinking about this show is like technically the next Fallout game because this in the timeline is after Fallout 4.
Okay.
I don't remember how many years, but it's just they just said they have the tone perfectly because it's a very unique tone and why I kind of fell in love with the games. You know, that obviously the 50s style, but like retro futuristic also, where like that's kind of where everything was encapsulated because that's when the bombs dropped. So it's just like everything was kind of frozen in time in that time period. So a lot of I love all the music choices they do as well, which there's a lot in the show. From 50s, some stuff from the 40s as well. And it's also just a very specific tone of like there's humor, dark humor, but also it's very serious and very violent and gory as well. And obviously all that is in the show as well, which is great. They do all the different characters, a lot of different things. It's just a huge world. There's so much. That's why I'm glad it's done right because there's so much they can do with it that they could keep this going for a long time, which I hope they do. Seems like the show already is kind of pretty big. Seems like a lot of people watched it. I had some students of mine, even just out of nowhere, they don't ever talk to me about TV. They're like, "Hey, have you seen Fallout?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was just surprised. Like, so it's definitely getting around. But anyway, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed what I've watched so far, and like I said, I don't have that much understanding of the world and the lore and all that stuff. Like I played a little bit of Fallout 4, but even that I didn't get that far in the game. And then I played the Fallout Shelter, so I like understood the concept, but like that's about all.
You would understand more of like the actual vaults because like Fallout Shelter is all about the vault,
right?
And then the show starts in the vault. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And even playing the beginning of that of Fallout 4, I would say that's where that starts too, and then you go out just like in the show. Yeah.
But yeah, but I think it's really good what I've watched so far, and I mean, you kind of covered a lot of stuff. It's just it's well done so far. Kind of one of those things where the tone seems right. I mean, I'm not as familiar, but just you can definitely tell it's intentional and kind of balanced well in like those things, and then the world building is really good.
Yeah,
and then acting, all that stuff, and then what was his name, Walton Goggins, like so good, and
he is.
And then I like that I forget her name, the lead actress that was in
Yellow
Jackets season 1.
Yeah, she was in something else recently too.
I think that's the only thing I've seen her in, but I remember liking her in that, and she's good in this. So.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
I want to specifically say, because I'm only going to talk about literally the opening scene of the first episode, how well that's done, showing just regular everyday life and how, like, from a specific set of people's perspective, like, seeing it from them, how, like, how they react and how, the bombs dropping and all that. Like, I thought the opening scene was done
Yes.
so well.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Also, it was like an hour and 15 episode. Episode 1 was long.
It was.
Yeah. But then I looked at the rest. They're normal. I don't know. I don't know why I did. But I mean, that's I guess depending how you look at it, the good and the bad of streaming. You can kind of do whatever.
Put that cut and then start the next one anywhere you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you could have split that into 2 episodes if you wanted.
You could have.
Whatever.
Yeah, I was going to shout out Walton Goggins also because he's such a great actor anyway, but like this is the perfect character for him because the ghouls in general are like a huge thing in Fallout, and even what they did with him to make him look like is perfect. Like it's exactly how they look in the game, and I'm trying to think who else. Oh, the one I was surprised about, I didn't know that Kyle MacLachlan was in this, which was cool to see him. There's a few other people that I kind of recognize, but I guess those are kind of the main ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about because this is another huge thing of Fallout. How'd you feel about the Brotherhood and the power armor suits? Because that's a big thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think. Yeah. Again, I don't know that much about the world that much. So
no, I know. It's just like
it seems so far. I mean, it seems a little weird. The Brotherhood, like it's like this religion, but not or something like monks or I don't know what they are. But
yeah, it's a very interesting.
But I mean, it's still early, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm here for it and see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's just that was the one of the main things I was worried about going into it was getting the power armor right, because I think when I saw the first teaser or something, I was like, ooh, I don't know. There was one shot.
Yeah.
I was like, but no, it looked great in the show. So
it does.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. We were at literally the same point in the show too. It's it sucks. I hate. There's another reason why. All at once, it's like I want to like get it done because I'm worried I'm gonna get spoiled on it. But at the same time, I want to take my time with it.
Yep.
And it's just I feel like I have to now because people just.
It's like a fine steak. You don't want to eat it too fast, but then if you eat it too slow, it gets cold.
Perfect example. Exactly. There you go.
You
Clip
want
that.
You want to enjoy it and eat it slow and savor.
Yeah.
But then if you eat it too slow, it gets cold.
Mm-hmm. Clip that for the shorts, the YouTube shorts. Just that. So you have anything else?
Yeah. So, so besides Fallout,
we never said. I always like to say that's on Amazon.
Yes.
Amazon. Always try to say that when I'm talking about a show where it's actually streaming.
Yeah, that's true. We should get better at that. You're right. So on Hulu, I watched the movie The Greatest Hits.
I haven't heard of this.
The premise is a lady loses her long-term boyfriend. Like, they're like not married, but they almost were. And to like a car accident or something. I don't remember. I think that's why he died. And then, but then she has this weird thing because she was in the car accident with him. And she didn't die, but this thing happened where she basically can time travel, but it's only with music, and it's because it triggers something when that music was playing in the past.
Okay.
And so she'll just all of a sudden like almost have like a seizure. She'll black out in present day if she hears the right song, and then it takes her to that moment. And it's all obviously all moments revolving around their time dating or in a relationship, right? And so
that's a great use of that because music, I think, is like one of the biggest things to trigger specific, moments or in your life or like a time and a place. So that's awesome.
So that's the premise. Honestly, great premise. And you start out, you're like, oh, it's gonna be good, but in the end, like by the time it ended, you were kind of like, eh. Like it was kind of like I just don't think it was the best movie, but I kind of want to throw it out there to be like, hey,
so just okay.
It's just okay. Like, I mean, if you're like dying to watch it, then watch it. It was well made. It's not again like it, but just story wise, I was like kind of disappointed with where it went by the third act, so to speak, like just
Okay.
kind of how it wrapped up. But
And that sucks because of such a good premise.
yeah,
You're hoping you're like this. I hope this is a very good movie, but
and then I also think I just kind of to bring up last week we talked about Three Body Problem, but I'd only watched part of episode 1, so like I hadn't gotten as
Right.
far into it, and now I'm at least 3 episodes in.
okay.
So and then just that's on Netflix. If we
Mhm.
didn't say,
Yep.
Really enjoying that too. Like I
Oh,
think it's really good, which is very funny because it's like watching these 2 well-made sci-fi shows, Fallout on Amazon and then Three Body Problem on Netflix, and they're very different. From
So
like
different.
tonally, whatever this, even the sci-fi elements, whatever they are, but both really good, and we're enjoying both a lot.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. And I
Okay.
also am, just been so busy. I don't have time to watch these things that I want to watch.
Yeah.
Check.
Hopefully, I'll have more next week. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully I will.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We will see. Yeah.
Hopefully don't spend the whole weekend working again like I have for the last couple weekends.
Yeah.
But who knows? All right, let's get into Shogun Episode 9, Crimson Sky.
We're here, Crimson effing Sky. I actually honestly can't believe we're already on the penultimate.
I know.
This season kind of flew by.
It did. I would say it did, but also it's like so much has happened.
Oh yeah.
Like it's Anyway, yeah. It's kind of it's a
But
very.
it's like it's where I'm like I don't want it to end. You know what I mean?
That's
the. I mean, it's a
so
good
good.
sign of a.
it's so good.
Yeah, I know.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we'll do the synopsis, and then we'll.
Mm-hmm.
Mariko arrives in Osaka for the fight of her life. Blackthorn and Yabushige scramble to save their own heads as their options dwindle. So,
That's an understatement of
thoughts on Crimson Sky?
of that synopsis.
Thoughts of Crimson effing Sky.
Oh man, I don't know. When we bring it up top, I'm just going to say the same thing every week. But the one thing though is no battle.
Yeah, no big battle.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, which is still
Yep,
interesting.
I had that as like a note, like
Yeah,
surprise. We still haven't had a big battle.
yeah. I mean, there was a very significant battle in this.
Fight scenes. Yeah.
Yes. But no, yeah, it was another great episode. It's like we were talking about last week. It's just how consistently good this show has been in every way, where I'm like, do we really think, they're going to fumble it this last 2? We're like, oh, probably not. And again, we still have one more, but I'm pretty confident that this is going to be. It's definitely going to go down as like pretty high up
Mhm.
miniseries, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a great contender for top 10 of this year for
Yeah.
sure. And but yeah,
Yeah, I can't imagine 10 others like actually beating
being
it out.
better, no,
Yeah.
or 9, 10 others. Yeah,
That's what I
push
mean.
it
Yeah,
off.
it's going to be on. It has to be on the top 10. Like, yeah, it's.
Yeah, it's what I've been thinking since like a couple episodes.
I know,
I was like, dude, this is so strong,
Mm-hmm.
so good at every level.
Yep.
So I wanted to. It's at this point, it's hard to remember every episode, but like I want to say that this one's better than any one before it. Or should I? Maybe I should say it like this. I think is my favorite episode yet.
Okay.
Better way to put it.
It's definitely one of the best. I don't know if I would say it's the best, but yeah, no, it's definitely.
I feel like all those other episodes that had those very masterful tension moments, but there would be like one.
Yeah.
This episode had like 5.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's why I was like, oh my gosh, like I believe that they continue
And
to
they
pull this off.
And they executed them all so well
yeah.
too, and all in one episode. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I think that's why it's just like,
Mhm.
and they're just so masterful at doing that with the writing.
Well, I've noticed also now, it's like almost every episode we're getting like a specific actor, just like you're like the director or whoever's like, all right, this is the episode where you're just gonna like show off your acting chops, right? Because last week's was Toranaga and the grandfather. Shoot, what's his name?
Yeah, we need a cheat sheet.
No, we got it. Trying to remember his name.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what I mean? With
his like kind of second hand, his like, yeah.
Right, like so, like that. How we were talking about how good that is.
And I think Bentaro had some really poignant moments last week as well.
And then this episode obviously is Mariko, that actress. Even though we've been talking about how great she's been in this whole show, but this was like her episode. For sure.
Another whole level in this episode. Yeah, I agree. That's good. So, speaking of, let's get into the start. So we start out 14 years prior to the current situation, and Mariko is wandering in the snow, trying to die basically. Yeah, and she's pregnant too, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then
that was something at first when it first started. Like, obviously, I knew it was gonna it was her. But I didn't realize at first that that's what she was trying to do. Actually just kill herself because, and they kind of made it seem that way. Like it seemed like she was just lost. But yeah, it was great though. I like anytime we get these flashback scenes have all been really good.
Yeah. So we get that, and then of course one of the guards or whatever finds her and brings her back, and then we get a nice scene with her and the priest.
Yeah.
And we see where she kind of the start of her faith and Catholicism and Christianity.
This was awesome to see because this is like a callback to one of the first episodes when he's talking to her and saying like how long she's been practicing her faith. And he says a number, and I imagine it's, how many years was
14.
this? 13? Yeah.
14. Sorry.
14. Okay. Yeah. This was also great to see her starting, that specific path in her life.
Yeah, and it's also kind of a setup for later when there's like a callback when she meets with them again.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very cool. And then we go back to present day. And Yabashige and Blackthorn and Mariko are showing up in Osaka. And they get kind of escorted in by guards and things, and then we get a scene with Yabashige is like, we won't meet with Ishido until tomorrow, so whatever. But then we get the scene with the priests and then the captain from the Spanish captain.
Yes.
And they're like speculating on the motives and what Toranaga has got up and all that stuff. And of course the priestess saw him and was like, no, I think he's pretty much done with his,
Yeah.
So he was trying to, but still that head priest guy seemed to like, he's got some up his sleeve. Like he wasn't believing it.
No, he wasn't. Yeah.
So then, the next day, Yabashige and Blackthorn meet with the council, and they propose to, join them and use their ships and stuff. His ship and stuff, but they're like Ishido is like, no, we don't need your stuff and we don't need you guys, and shuts them down.
Yep, he sure does.
Just as that finished up, then Mariko shows up.
Yeah.
This is kind of the start of the extra tense because there's already tense when they show up, right? And like it's all that. But then
Yeah, pretty much the whole from the start of them, which is basically like you said, the whole episode. The whole time they're in Osaka, right? It's already tense, but then yeah, you have these different scenes, and this is one of them where they're elevating that even more.
yeah. So then Mariko comes in. She basically challenges Ishido and says, I need to take these ladies back with me. It's my master's orders, and we're gonna leave tomorrow. And he's like, well, you need to, whatever. And there's like this back and forth of, and basically gave him the ultimatum. If she's like, well, if I can't follow my orders, then I'm going to commit suicide at sunset because I can't follow through with my orders. So
yeah,
it's either he's going to be, which is what they like the following scene, but the scene was so well done. And
yes, it was.
And the tension and so good. So then following the scene, like there's the scene with then the council meeting with and Lady Akiba.
Right.
The council, not Lady Akiba, like meeting, and she they're like talking through it, and then they're like, what is your counsel? What do you suggest? She's basically like, you guys are screwed either way.
Mm-hmm.
She lays it out to him, but she's like, you do this, then you're disgraced, and if you do this, you'll look weak.
Yep.
And so they and then we also have the scene with Yoshige and Blackthorn like harassing Mariko because they're like, what are you doing? And they realize that she must be in on some bigger plan by Toranaga they don't know about, and they want in on the secret, but she doesn't let them. And
well, even the end of the last episode was like when she said, I'm ready, and then she gets on the boat, and they're like,
what are you doing here?
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're gonna translate for me, and she's just like, no, she's like, I will, but that's not
that's not why I'm here.
Right.
Yeah, and then we get this very emotional scene where her son tries to talk her out of doing what she's doing, but mainly because it's like obvious he's been living in that area too long, and he's been swayed to the other guys, and he doesn't really he's not committed to Toranaga anymore, which he kind of kind of fusses him for it, or like that's not, but you can tell he doesn't really care. He kind of walks away. But then Mariko and Blackthorn meet with Lady Akiba. She uses like, oh, the heir wants to meet with Blackthorn, but then really she just wants to talk to her old friend.
Yes.
And then we get this nice exchange between them, and she's trying to talk her out of like, hey, don't do this. And
well, Blackthorn also at first, like, he does like simple
really?
Japanese, like, and
keep it simple.
So they do like a couple, but then Mariko starts.
Well, she shows up.
Yeah, and
she wasn't there initially.
Right. Yeah.
But then she's like, basically tells him to stay out of it. Really, we're just here to have a conversation, because she's like, then they have a conversation and she's not translating any of it.
Yes.
He's just kind of standing there.
Because they said, well, I don't remember the year count, but the flashback from a few episodes ago, right, when she was little, like that, she was there then, so they've known each other at least that long.
Yeah. They talked about in their childhood they were best friends and blah blah blah. And so she she tells them to stop playing games, and she's like, I'm not the one playing games, and blah blah blah. Yeah. So then after they leave there, she dismisses them. They leave. She's like, oh, we need to go. And then Blackthorn has that moment where he begs her not to die, not to kill herself. He's like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything to prove. This is not going to prove anything. Or she's like, this proves everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Still not getting it.
No.
Dude.
Also, this is probably around the time where she says that quote, right?
The flower.
Yeah.
Yeah. The flower quote is when she's talking to Lady Akiba.
Right.
Like she says, yeah, it's flowers on a flower until it falls or something, whatever it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's a flower because it falls. But then right after that, when they're kind of just the two of them, like he tries to get her to not do it, and
yeah,
it's after that. But then she leaves, and then she goes and meets with the priest again, which is very reflective of the early scene in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, basically like giving confession, like Catholicism confession, but then like she can't go into the specifics, I guess, because she doesn't want to tell him. And then of course, he prays for her and prays over her, and I forgot, like she had the one other guy on the council agree to be her second in her death, because if she doesn't kill herself and someone else does, then it's not suicide, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then you guys, like, while she's doing that, I noticed Blackthorn does the thing where he like messes up the nice lines in the sand or the ground. They have like the garden lines, and he like
I have a note about that, because it's only one line.
Yeah,
he literally draws a line in the sand.
Draws the line in the sand, but like it's going against all the other lines.
Yeah,
like,
but it's him making the decision for what's coming up soon.
Yeah. So so then we get Mariko's, I guess it's like a kind of ceremony, kind of like everyone's there surrounding her. And
so the specific scene, this had to have been before that.
Okay.
The fight scene with her.
Oh, did I skip?
Yeah, so I'm thinking
when she tried to leave.
Yeah, because that's my other note. I wanted to talk about that scene specifically because.
Oh yeah, I had that in somehow I skipped over there. It's right after her son talks to her.
Yeah,
and then she goes
when she's when she's leaving. Yeah, because the guy, he's up there with the guy that's going to be her second.
That's when she asked for him.
Yeah,
because that scene was insane. Like the fighting, and
that was So with that scene, when she's fighting the spearmen, what I liked about it was you could tell, because when she, because she's basically giving it her all, and they're surrounding her, so they could have clearly killed her. Like you can tell, none of the spearmen wanted to. Yeah, like they're just kind of
the people up above are like, you don't kill. No harm should come to.
Right.
And then because then there's 3 or 4 arrows they shoot at her feet, and like they don't actually hit her.
Yep.
Which is not, I mean, if you were decent, you would be able to hit.
Yeah, it's a warning. But even so they're just standing their ground when she's actually fighting them afterwards, and like it was just cool to see, because we already know she's a good fighter because we've seen that in the past and how much she's trained. But I thought it was really effective that like you see her, like she's really trying her hardest to basically honor Toranaga and his wishes with that. And then when she eventually was just like, all right, I can't do anything else, that's when then she makes a decision and then asks the guy to be her second.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that scene was great. Like that was again, so we got a battle in this. It's just a very different.
It's smaller.
Kind of,
Yeah.
That
was one of the other, so it'd be like the second very tense scene.
Oh yeah.
And then and the third would have been when she's meeting with the lady Akaba. It's also very, very tense. And then we go back to where I was at with which was when she's getting ready to commit Sudoku, not Sudoku.
You know what's great about that is because that is an actual meme. Like people say, like commit Sudoku. Yeah, seppuku.
Seppuku, that's it. Seppuku.
But yeah, you could just say commit Sudoku because that's a meme anyway.
Seppuku. Yeah, that's what I have written down. Commit seppuku, but I said
yeah, but it's it obviously clearly is something that people
struggle with.
Yeah, and say that word
similar,
and say that word
instead, in a way, some way. But yeah, anyway, so the guy doesn't show up to be the second. She's very ready, and then Blackthorn, the last minute, is like, "I'll do it." And he gets the sword, and then they shut, which was crazy. Like I guess really the other people can't watch it happen.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's part of the
doors and
rules with it. Yeah.
And then she was starting to, which I also thought was interesting. And I was looking at like on the episode guide, they explained like women wouldn't actually gut themselves.
Really?
They would just stab themselves in the heart.
Was she not pointing?
That's why she was. No, she was pointing up here. She was
okay.
pointing up here, and that's why I was like.
You're saying instead of like right,
the
like
guy,
what the
guy
other
did. Guys across the gut, and they cut it open. And then they said actually a lot of times they wouldn't even they would put it and they'd fall on it because they didn't have the strength to like actually do it. And,
right.
And then they would, if they didn't have somebody the second, they would pull it out and then like cut their throat. Yeah, to like make sure that they would die quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so she's again another very tense moment.
Yeah.
And she's like ready, and then last minute they hear something happening on the other side of the door, and Ishido shows up and is like, "Here's your permits."
No, that's Yabushige. Isn't it Yabushige?
He's not the one that brings. No, Ishido.
Oh, is it?
He's the one that brings the permits.
Oh, okay. Well,
which is why they said they couldn't leave because they didn't have permits.
Yeah.
And
then the other
lady,
people,
and then as he gets out there, like,
he's like,
we want permits, and he's like, "Oh, okay, we'll get this.
Get the permits." Yeah.
No one's trapped here.
Yeah. Well, this is why, like, this kind of show. I don't want to keep compared to Game of Thrones, but it has like it has that kind of thing where, like, in that moment, I really was like, she could definitely die here. Like, I had no idea what was going to happen, which is great. Like,
yeah, you just don't know where they're going to go with it.
Yeah. Especially it being a miniseries. It's like, and how the book is. I don't know how the book is, but it's like, yeah, like no one really has plot armor in this. Like anyone could.
Because they're not trying to. Well, we can't. We need them.
Yeah, we don't
season 2.
Yeah, they don't want to keep continuing it. Right. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So I was truly like 50-50. I was like
100%.
I was like, this could go.
I was there too.
way.
I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Of course, it also was like, I mean, I know they do it for dramatic effect, but it's like
very last minute.
The very last minute.
Very last second. I know. Yeah.
Because what if he had to stop for a bathroom break and he didn't make it there in time?
Not even that. He just like, it was like, wait, I got to sneeze, you know?
Like it was so close.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know they do it for dramatic.
If I just had a pimple, I would have won.
Yeah, so she doesn't commit Sudoku.
Right. Yep.
And so then they're not, she doesn't die. So then, and then all the other ladies want permits. So then she's obviously exhausted, and then of course Blackthorn really helps her up, and then she kind of lingers and holds onto his hand a little longer than she has to.
Well, she's also looking at him differently now. Like, oh, she was like, oh, you were actually going to do this.
Yes, because like you said, that line in the sand, it was like he finally fully accepted their customs and their way, right? Their culture. I was like, that was like the last. And it's like, and then so she finally also felt completely seen by him, and like
as opposed to
up
him
to all the other times where he's like, why do you want to kill yourself, or why do you want to, you know, like, and he was not getting it, and then now he gets it.
Or even just him saying before that, like, oh, like, if you won't do it for anything else, do it for me. And it's like, come on, dude. Again, you're
not that important, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, of course, then they have a little pillowing time.
Yep. They pillow.
Then we get the scene where Yabashige. Well, we had a scene earlier where he got a note and he killed a guard, and then we see some of the other stuff happen, and I was kind of like, what is this all about? And then anyway, then he but then he lets these assassins in, like the back door or whatever, I don't know, the side door, whatever it was, but he let them in, and
this is Shinobi also, which it was really cool to hear that actual word.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about him, like, because the way they were dressed too.
Yeah.
But then either him or someone else actually says Shinobi right after that, I think.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see that. It was just like I was mentioning I think at the end of the first episode, they mentioned like Ronin in the East, which was cool hearing like that being mentioned.
All the history stuff kind of sprinkled in there. Yeah. It's always cool. Anyway, he lets these guys in, assassins. They start killing people in the house, the compound, whatever you want to call it. And then they get to Blackthorn and Mariko, and of course they're get up and start defending themselves and take some of the guys out. But then they grab her and not try to kill her, so that obviously they're trying to take her as a prisoner.
Yeah.
So they're fighting these guys off, and then they decide to go hide in a stone shed or something that actually had doors and not like the small. It was like a storehouse.
Like, it was a storehouse. Yeah. I would say before that, it's just sick, that combination of Mariko with like just the small blade, and then him
with the gun
with his gun that we haven't really seen him really use.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was cool to use it, and then sometimes he was hitting people with it.
Yeah.
So no, it was good. Some good fight scenes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Yabashige is in the middle of it, kind of like trying to pretend like he had nothing to do with the guy. Just when I thought he had redeemed himself,
no.
And then he goes and does this.
Yeah.
Man, that guy. So then they're hiding in the storehouse, doors barred, and then they hear the assassins building explosives on the outside to get in, and then Blackthorn's trying to barricade the door, trying to get Yabashige to help, and he's like,
won't even help.
So torn on what he should do and acting like an idiot.
Yep.
And then Mariko is like right by the door, and she won't move, and then just as she realizes, she's like, in death I will disgrace Shido with this, and then like. Then
she makes that decision to
like take one for the team, and then the door explodes, and
that was that's it.
Crazy looking shot.
It was, and like actually just cutting there to end the episode. Yeah, because normally I feel like every episode has been like at least not really technically a cliffhanger or like something huge, but like it normally at least cuts off at a pretty natural point, or like kind of more, I don't know the word, softer or like slower point. But like this was the complete polar opposite.
Yeah, this was
like so it was just crazy because all the other episodes have not ended in that way at all.
So one more episode. What are we going to see in this last episode?
I don't know, because this one was called Crimson Sky. Now, and I was thinking about when Toranaga describes Crimson Sky. I believe it's him that says it. Like it's an all-out assault. But he says it in a specific way. It's like a it's like a one-time, very like singular, I think he said, all-out assault in like a quick burst or something like that. Anyway, it's something along those lines. And I'm thinking, I'm like, did they do that? Like, was that Mariko, or
No, I don't.
you know what I mean? Or like, is that something else that he basically talked to her about, and like,
Yeah,
as like
I
a
feel like it hasn't
separate thing.
happened.
Right, that's
like,
what
I feel
I'm
like it's
wondering,
like
like,
it's that
but
was.
why is the episode called that then?
I don't know. I don't know. Because I still feel like we're gonna get a battle. Like they're gonna like he's gonna have to take out Ishido.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what's nice is like all the people, all the other nobles or whatever will leave because they all wanted the permits. So then the place won't. He could attack it and not run the risk of killing other.
So maybe that's what he's waiting on.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then
he
executes Crimson Sky.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because nothing came from the sky either.
No. Nothing from the sky.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we're going to get a battle scene. That, like, now I keep thinking, I mean, we've been talking about that, like, forever, and it's, like, not happened.
Yeah.
And so, like,
this is the last chance, yeah. I don't know.
And then, of course, we don't get the happy ever after with Mariko and
this is what I don't understand, because there's no way she's surviving that.
Right. No, I don't think so.
And I saw, where did I see this? I don't know. It might have been on Instagram or Twitter. Someone was like, it was a picture of who John Blackthorne is based on, and he's like married to a Japanese woman. Now I guess it could be someone else, but like that apparently was historically
right. But it doesn't mean the book is accurate completely. Like because
I know they could change it, but I know
they use real people to inspire the people that are in the book. But most of the characters in the book weren't actual real people.
No, I know.
So he could wrote it differently in the book. Of course, they also could diverge from the book some for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just figured that was something they would have kept, but
maybe not. I don't know.
Because I'm just saying now, if we go to the final episode and she's somehow like, still alive in some way, but like barely, like that's gonna be dumb. Because
I mean, I could see her not being completely dead for a moment, so she can say her like last words.
But I guess, but it's just like how that looked. I'm like,
no, she got blown up.
There's no way.
Yeah, I think she's dead.
Yeah, and also her meaning and purpose of doing that as well. Like if she just survived after that, that would diminish all of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
and will Blackthorne ever get his ship finally again to use? Because he hasn't been able to. He asks every episode pretty much, and still hasn't been able to.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess turn out, but like, does he stay? I mean, I guess maybe he still got what's the Kiku back in his. Like there, is that the lady taking care of his house back in the other village?
Oh shoot!
No, Fuji.
Yes,
Fuji was her name.
Yes.
Kiku is the prostitute.
Yes, the prostitute.
Yeah. Maybe that's who he ends up with. I don't know.
Maybe I was completely blanking on her name, and I knew the only way I was trying to remember was like it's an apple, but I was still blanking. That was how I could remember her name before.
Honeycrisp.
Yeah, Honeycrisp. Yeah, that was her name. Red Delicious.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, the way this show is, like, it's really hard to even like
predict
what's gonna happen.
I know.
I do think Toranaga is gonna somehow end up on top, and Ishido is gonna not, and it's gonna.
Well, we've been asking at the end of every episode. It's like, do we think he still has a plan? It's like at this point, like there's no way after all of this, like that he's done. Like going into that final episode, and he's like, I don't know,
no,
like
no, he definitely had a plan.
Yeah. Even the thing which I didn't pick up on first, and you did, about him like faking being sick even last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, it's still not 100% confirmed.
No, it makes sense.
But it kind of like there at the end, you kind of look, you're like, oh, he's not acting sick.
Yeah, he wasn't anymore. Yeah.
And I thought he might be faking the whole time, but then we didn't see him in all this episode, so we don't really know. But we'll see. Yeah. What did you guys think of this episode? What do you think is going to happen? You can write in, tell us, or leave a comment. Tell us what you think is going to happen in this last episode, the final episode. You can email us at feedback@screentimepod. Also, what do you want us to cover next? We're going to have to decide that this week.
Yeah, good point. Send in your...
So if you have any thoughts on what you'd like us to cover next.
Suggestions.
Through late April and all through May. I think in June we have some good options.
Oh, yeah.
But we haven't decided 100% what we're going to do.
Maybe we should just do Fallout because it's really good. Although we already did too.
Just let us know what you think we should do. If you have any ideas for what to cover in those 2 months,
Mm-hmm. A lot of good stuff in June though.
Yeah,
that's gonna be hard to pick.
June's gonna be hard to pick what we're gonna cover in June. Yeah. So even that, because we have Acolyte, we have
House of the Dragon, and the Boys.
There's
something else too.
And The Bear season 3.
Is it confirmed for June?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't know if that's one I would want to cover week to week.
No,
because I love that show, but
no, it needs to be something more like
So
House of the Dragon, it's very dense each episode. So
or Star Wars, I think. I mean,
Star Wars, well, that one I don't know. That one depending on how it is. Yeah, I really don't know. That show could go either way.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I'm always optimistic going into a Star Wars show, but you never know.
But in the meantime, until early to mid-June, we need to cover something.
Mm-hmm.
So, give us your ideas, your thoughts. And otherwise, if you want to, you can DM us or follow us on Instagram. I'm at J Youngbar.
And I'm at Jered Youngbar.
And we will talk to you guys next week.